Bye.
Hi, my name is Nicole Nagelli, and today I have Celia with me.
Hello.
Do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I'm Celia, and I am a musician, and I like to make films as well. I'm 18. I'm from Australia, and I just released an album called Listen, Love, and See. Hello. I'm
Hello.
back. Sorry for dropping you.
It's okay, I didn't feel a thing.
That was gonna happen sooner or later.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to say a little bit like how we met. Like I stumbled upon like one of your Dodie covers like forever ago, and I just saw like all your films and everything, and I was like, whoa, you're really cool. So I just sent you an email asking if you ever do an album, I would love to do the art for you. And then we ended up doing the art together, and it was like super super fun. It's
Yeah.
just it's so cool to see other like young creators and young filmmakers like absolutely like crushing it. It's so cool. So
And you
here
did a
is
fantastic job of the album work. Like, I
oh,
love it so much.
thank
It's so perfect.
you did a fantastic job of making the album. I'm gonna talk about like my favorite song later in the interview, but oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk about it. So here is the icebreaker question. Tell us your favorite quote, but in your own words.
um so um I don't know how to put this in my own words because the original wording is like so perfect,
Okay.
but it's don't ask what the world needs, ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that, because what the world needs is more people who come alive. And that's always made me feel very happy.
That's a really good quote. I the first time I heard that quote was from like a Zen Pencils comic. Did you hear it from that or?
No, my uncle sent it to me.
Oh,
Yeah, once, because it's like I sometimes feel like I'm not doing enough in the world, but I just need to be reminded. I think we all need to be reminded just being us enough, and it's yeah.
yeah, definitely. I remember like one of the quotes in this book I think it's called Everyone's an Alien when you're an alien too. There's this little snail and he's like really small and really slow, but he keeps saying that like I'm making a difference in my own world and that's enough. And that really helped me when I was in middle school. 'Cause it's easy to feel like overwhelmed with how much you can
Oh.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So, why do you make art? This isn't like the I've been drawing since I could hold a pencil or since I could like poke a piano or whatever. um this is
Polka
more of
piano.
like yeah, I've been doing it since I could like lie on top of the keys. But yeah, I'm curious like what is it filling in your life? Like why do you do it?
So, yeah, I have trouble articulating myself sometimes. The English language just doesn't do enough for me. And so that's where art comes in, because I can express myself through any medium I like. And it's also just like the need. It's like if went through a stage where if I didn't make when I was a kid, if I didn't make a film every weekend, I would go insane. And it's like if I wake up in the morning and I have a great urge to make this thing, and I have to make it right now, and it's like I can't live if I don't make it. And yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
it.
I definitely get cranky whenever I can't make stuff. It's really crazy like how much of it affects you because I'm like, wait, why do I feel
Yeah,
terrible for these past 2 weeks? And it's like because I didn't sit and I didn't write about cartoons.
yeah. I would all go on like holidays instrument with me, and so I would go insane, and I'd have to run to the music store and like find the cheapest ukulele so I could survive the
Mhm.
trip or something.
That
Yeah.
is awesome. Do you notice like a theme in your art from like how much you've made like since you were younger and to now? As like when you look back at like maybe some of the films you made when you were younger, is there like a certain like theme or a shared emotion that you keep writing about again and again?
Oh, well, that's a really interesting question. Something I've realized recently is that the films that I make, they are more expressive of my inner child, and the music that I make is more expressive of my old brain. I don't really know how to explain
Yeah.
that, but
Mhm.
also I'm very interested in absolutely everything, and so things with what I do, but I certainly do have a style that I can't seem to step out of. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really interesting. How did you become so like multi-talented? Like you're into like animation, filmmaking. Oh, by the way, if you haven't checked out like Celia's channel, what are you doing? But yeah, you're into like animation, filmmaking, music, and like producing. Is it something that you just like fell into naturally, or how did that develop?
Yeah, it's because I'm so interested in everything, and if I see someone else doing anything, I'll just get so excited, be like, I have to try it, I have to try it, I have to try it, I have to try. And people have often thought it's just because I'm so excited and happy all the time. But that is the case, don't worry. um yeah, I the thing with art is that I'm not trying. If I try, it's not going to be any good, and it's not going to feel any good. And yeah, so it's all based on doing stuff on a whim and being spontaneous. Yeah.
That's really cool. Have you ever made one of those like 48-hour? I just literally, before I started this interview, I just finished a 48-hour film for a thing. Have you ever tried any of that? Or like write a book in like 10 minutes or any of those challenges?
I think I've tried to, like, a challenge where it's like write a song, like produce and write a whole entire song in an hour.
Hmm.
And the thing I love about that is you come up with something that you never expected to come up with, because you're just like this. And it wasn't very good, but it's still cool to see all these different ideas that, yeah, you wouldn't
Yeah,
have thought of.
definitely. One of the things that I really like is that you don't wait for permission. Like I'm a huge what is that person? I don't know. I really like people who don't wait for permission, like people who don't wait until they're out of school to do stuff, which is like you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you always have that? Did you learn that somewhere?
Yeah, I think I've always been the person, like, people tell me, oh, I wish I was a singer, or I wish I could do this. And I'm like, yes, you can. You can do it right now. Yes, let's go. Let's go do something right now and have fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I've always been that person. But hmm, yes, I have.
Awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, I remember you saying that to me because I was talking to you about something like I'm afraid of like sharing my songwriting to you or to anybody, and I actually did finish a song that I will release soon because you encouraged me to and it was very nice. I'm very excited. Yeah. I'm not a singer definitely, but it's going to be interesting. It'll be something. Yeah, that's really really cool. What do you think your life would be like if you waited until after college to pursue what you loved?
I think I would be very bored and very sad. Um, yeah, because it's like I've never been big on school or studying things, because I'm very learn hands on and experimentative kind of person. And so if I was just to wait till I had lots of knowledge and degrees or whatever, I would be a very boring person. I feel like I would. I don't know.
Do you have any advice for like kids that are in school that want to or that think they have to wait until they get out of school to do the things that they want to do? Hopefully that question made
Yes.
sense.
School is not the answer to life. Well, that's personally for me, but school is not the answer, and if you want to do something, you should just go and do it.
That is good advice. One thing that I really love about you is like your fearlessness. Like personally, it's the biggest block for me. That's why I started like this Fear in Art challenge or the Fear in Art series because I wanted to see how other creatives deal with fear in their art. And I especially love like seeing your process in like songwriting in the YouTube video that you made and just how like free you create. What role has fear played in your mindset towards art?
Yeah, I think that this is where the productivity banana comes in. For those who don't know, the productivity banana is just my way of, it's the name that I call the voice in your head that's constantly tormenting you, telling you to be productive. Because productivity is like my least favorite word in the whole world, because society is always constantly pressuring everyone to be productive, and so we all have this like subconscious fear that's like, if we don't do lots of things, then we'll stop being relevant and we won't have any meaning. And yeah, so that's definitely affected me. Which is cool, because then I make a film called The Productivity Banana, and as soon as I make something about some art about something that annoys me or I'm scared of, it suddenly like goes away, and it's amazing. I love art like that. But yeah, the thing with productivity, right, is if I were to tell myself, okay, I have to make an album, and I tried really hard, I just feel like it wouldn't work and I wouldn't be happy with it, or I would just give up. But because throughout the entire of me making an album, I didn't think once, oh, I'm making an album. It was just kind of like I was laying on my bed playing guitar one day, and then I played a random chord that sounded really cool, and then I sang a bunch of words when I was dancing around in the kitchen, and then voila, I had a bunch of random songs, and then whoa, I could turn this into an album. That's cool. Yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting because the songs in your album, like they flow so well and all of like the themes and they're all about, like grounded and like letting go and like they all share the same kind of ideas and stuff. So you wrote all of those separately like over 2 years, like not even thinking that it was gonna be like an album.
Yeah, but it's all very representative of a time like last year. I lost my voice for 9 months, and
Oh
that was
wow.
very hard for me being a singer, because all I want to do ever is sing. And so there was a lot of learning about my body and learning about patience, and so I can't remember if I told you this, but the original working title for the album was Heal, because the entire time is about healing. Yeah, but yeah, so I wrote those songs without a voice, and so
Oh
as
wow.
soon as I got back my voice, I just recorded everything. And yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I had no idea that you lost your voice. That must have been really tough.
Yeah, I had 2 operations, and well, the thing is, I didn't lose my voice, but it was like my throat was so much in pain that I didn't want to talk, and it was very annoying. But I learnt sign language. I've forgotten
Oh,
it
what?
now
That's
because I've had
awesome.
my voice back for a while. But there were some cool things that came out of it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, this album came out of it, which is really cool. How
Yeah.
does fear affect your work, and how do you combat it?
How does fear affect my work, and how do I combat it? Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of fear. Everyone can relate to this, that there's a lot of fear around what other people are going to think of my art. But what I've realized is that if I try and make something to please someone else, or to fit the mold of what people like, then it's going to end up being really unauthentic, and when it's unauthentic it just doesn't feel right and it's not that good. And so for when I was making the album, I would get lots of feedback, but then I would have to like step back and be like, okay, what is the thing that I'm trying to say, and what is it that I like, and what do I want this song to sound like? And that beat made everything very authentic and real for me, and I think that's why the album is like touching so many people. I've been getting really long spiels from people across the globe that I don't know about the impact that my album has had on their lives, and I did not expect that to happen at all. I just wrote a bunch of songs for myself and was like, okay, maybe some of my friends can listen to this, but I've been getting this huge response, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so yeah,
That is so wonderful.
the
Yeah.
authenticity of the album is what I think made it what it is.
But one of the songs in the album, what was it called? The time one? The time takes time? That yeah, that was really it's definitely very, very authentic. And I think everybody has their own issues that they definitely like. Yeah. There's this one quote that I love, like, say what you want to say, but like say it with all your heart. And that album definitely does that. It's really, really cool. What helped you get out of your comfort zone?
What helped me get out of my comfort zone?
Do you even have a comfort zone?
I know, right? I do have a comfort zone. Okay, so this is a very interesting thing. I really, really like jumping out. I'm very good at jumping out of my comfort zone because I know that I'm going to have more fun over there. But the thing is, if I fingers, okay. So I'm trying to think about how to say this. So, sometimes if I'm worried about something or stressed about something, I am not consciously aware of it because all the stress is being held in my subconscious and is being expressed through physical pain, which is probably the reason for the voice disappearing and other things like that. So it's very easy for me to not freak out mentally over those things because all the pain is being expressed through my body physically.
How do you feel about the future? Do you feel like more excited or scared?
I've never been sure about my feelings about the future. This is like when people ask me that, I'm always like really stuck because I don't really think about it. I don't think about the future that much because I'm a very go with the flow person. So it's like whatever happens, whatever comes my way, I'm like, okay, cool, let's run with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of expecting to not expect anything. So
That's
I don't
valid.
know
Yeah.
how I feel about the future.
Yeah. Is there anything, since you don't think that much about the future, is there anything that you're looking forward to? Or maybe like a, I don't know, maybe traveling somewhere, buying a house, I don't know, whatever future stuff does. Mhm.
um, I'm definitely excited to make more things, and um, I'm excited for like when COVID restrictions are better. I really want to go live in Zimbabwe with my godmother. Um, but that's as far as I've thought about the future.
Awesome. That sounds like a great plan. All right. Yeah, now let's talk about your album. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear like more about like your journey while making it, everything about that, what feelings led to it, what helped you now. Like, there's this one quote that I really, really like. It's called Elizabeth Gilbert. She says, I am who I am because of what I have made and what it has made me into. What part of you did your album help strengthen or create?
So I often feel like, especially after writing this album, I've been kind of feeling like my musical self is a lot wiser than myself, because if I am a very restless person sometimes, and pardon me, I'm a very restless person sometimes, and so if I'm ever impatient or restless, I can just be like, time takes time. And then I suddenly feel very grounded, and it's like, oh, cool, thanks, me. Oh, yeah, okay. So there's this interesting story about the song Love Is Now. Um, um, yeah, so recently I'd been having a lot of self-worth issues, feeling like I was never good enough, feeling like everything that I said was either boring people or it was wasting their time, and that I had to work really hard to please everybody around me, and it got quite bad. And this was like, I'd written the song Love Is Now ages ago, like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and
Oh,
like
wow.
I'd written it being like, yeah, and it didn't mean that much to me then. It was just a nice song that I wrote. And
Mhm.
so then recently, when I was going through those self-worth issues, I was kind of, I just decided to randomly play it to myself. Anyway, while I was playing it, I started crying because it was like, it was like exactly the opposite message of what my brain had been telling me. Instead of, you need to work really hard for your worth, it was like, the song is like, you don't have to prove your self-worth. You're loved now, and you don't have to do anything to be loved. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's like, past Celia had written this song for present Celia, and it was like such a cool experience. And yeah.
That is so lovely.
um
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah. Do you have any other stories about the songs that you've written on the album?
uh,
I love how just like musical you are, just like waiting here too. Like, you just did like a drum solo on like your cabinet or something, and I was like, wow, all right, let's go.
okay, yeah, there's a story about the song Allergies. So I went to the park one day because I was very bored, and I just kind of sat on the grass, and I, I have hay fever, and so when I was sitting on the grass, I started having like a hay fever attack, and I couldn't stop sneezing. My snot was sticking to everything that I touched, and at the time I brought my book with me because I was trying to, I don't know, come up with a new song or something. And nothing I was coming up with was any good. But then my snot started sticking to everything I touched, and it was becoming a big mess. And I didn't have any tissues with me. It was a bit of a disaster. And I'm
Oh my
like,
God.
this is a
That's
good
like my
song.
worst nightmare.
Yeah, and then that little moment turned into a song.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
What did you learn while making the album? How did you change as a person? Because 2 years is I don't know, it's a long time. Because you were probably like 16 when you started. Was that 2 years ago?
I think that because of all the lyrics in my album that are all very, very grounding and very, very loving, it has made me a more grounded person, because it's songs for myself to remind me of these things, and 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 now I'm being reminded. I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's really, really cool.
I've definitely become better at mixing music, because I always used to be quite bad at it, and I would never like anything that I did. But now I know how to do stuff, and it feels pretty cool.
How did you learn how to do that? Producing music is like such a mystery to me.
I know. I'm like trying to watch YouTube tutorials, and I'm like, what,
Yeah, I know.
what?
Even just like
Yeah.
even just like doing like audio mixing for these interviews is like oh my God. I just finished like editing a batch of interviews, a batch of like 9 interviews, and I edited the audio wrong
Oh
on
wow.
all of them, and it was horrible.
Oh
Yeah, I had to go
no.
back and redo it, but yeah. How did you get into producing? How did you learn that? Was that like a self-teaching thing? Did you like take a
Yeah,
class?
it was just, it happened because I don't I'm a very lonely musician. Like, so I needed to be able to produce stuff so that I could play all the parts and I could sing all the parts.
Mhm.
And that was just something I needed. So I needed to make it happen. And that happened with a lot of experimenting and trial and error.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for people who are starting in music producing, or something that you wish that you knew when you started?
Yeah. Just keep experimenting till you think you've found something that sounds like that you like.
Did you look up to anyone,
um
or did you say like, I want my music to sound how, I don't know, this person does it, and then try and like replicate that? Because I don't know, none of your songs
there
seem like
I
replicated.
like music in
Sorry,
Thank
what
you.
did you say?
That's
There's
really
something.
nice to.
Oh yeah, no problem.
It's okay. It's really nice to hear someone say that, because there are also a lot of people that like, oh, this song sounds like just like
Yeah,
this other
yeah.
artist, and you're like,
Sorry. Yeah, I know. I hate it when people do that with art sometimes, or like stuff
yeah,
that I make. But you know, especially for like kids our age, usually when you're first starting out, obviously you've had years of practice,
yeah,
but usually when you're just starting out, you start out by just replicating people that you love
yeah,
until you find out
absolutely,
all that stuff. How did you
yeah,
develop that? How did you develop, I guess, from where I'm into animation and stuff, but I guess art style, but like music style. I think that makes sense. It probably does.
yeah. Well, I'm very encouraging of stealing art, not copyright and not plagiarism, but like
Oh, sorry to
being
interrupt
inspired by
again,
someone and
but
trying to rep. Yeah,
yeah,
am
have
I
you read Steal
cutting
Like an
out?
Artist? Because I feel like you'd be the kind of person to read that.
No, I haven't.
What? Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah, most of the stuff that you talk about is in that book. I'll send it to you probably after this.
Really,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Steal Like an Artist, literally, like changed my perspective on art and how I go about like the creative process and all that stuff. It's definitely like
Awesome.
fearlessness creating. Yeah, you'd love it. You already like do all this stuff, so it's like it's fine.
Thank you for the
But yeah, you were
recommendation.
saying about yeah, you were
um,
saying
yeah, I'm encouraging of the idea that you can steal other people's art in a means to learn, because I've learned so much from just trying to recreate someone else's song, like in terms of like producing and stuff. And yeah, it's like I really like the idea that like how do I say this? That I'm a person and I'm made up of lots of different people that I hang out with and the people that are close to me. I'm like a collage of lots of different people. But also with in terms of art, um, being inspired by people is been very um, being inspired is very important to me in terms of art, because you can you can learn lots of things by watching other people and trying to replicate other people. But also when you learn all those things, you suddenly have a toolbox of all these different things from different artists, and you can be like, wow, I have a toolbox. And then suddenly that becomes like your thing, and then you can make stuff. And I don't know what I'm
no,
saying.
that makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Who did you try to replicate, or who do you aspire? I don't know. You don't seem like the kind of person to have like I aspire to be like Dodie or something. But um, who do you look up to in terms of music or producing or artwork or anything?
Yeah, I definitely don't aspire to be like anyone, but I am very inspired by I really like Bobby McFerrin. He's very cool, and he's just very clever with doing things with music. And the same with like Jacob Collier, very clever at doing
Yeah.
things with music. And and it's like I want to be able to do all of that. But yeah, I've learned so much from those guys just by watching them for hours on YouTube. I just watch them do their thing, and I'm like, wow, I'm learning. My brain is expanding, and yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. What is your creative process like
I'm
right
trying to think if
now?
there's
Okay,
anybody else.
sorry.
Yeah,
Is there
no,
anyone
it's okay.
else?
My creative process.
Oh, I think there's a lag between the
I
videos.
don't know, not that I can think of right now. Oh, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too.
Okay. We'll just like yeah,
Um,
it'll be fine. What's your creative process like right now, and how do you think it'll change as you make more stuff?
woo, creative process. Yep. Um, my best ideas come from me. I'm very absent-minded most of the time. um, and so like I'm well known for trying to pour someone a glass of water and then it not going in the glass at all. Or I
Mhm.
try and make myself hot chocolate and then dancing around the kitchen with my mug because I'm off somewhere else. But most of my best ideas come from those moments, and I just kind of start without thinking. I don't know, singing something, singing like a line in a loop that I just randomly made up, and then it slowly kind of evolves, and then eventually, and then I'll like record it for later, and then I'll come back to it and I'll try and stick it together, and I'll try and evolve it some more. um, but in terms of making the actual thing, I never have a end vision. well, I have an end vision with films, but when it comes to music, I have no idea what it's going to sound like at the end. Like, I don't know. And so I have an idea and I'll put it into my session, and then I just kind of experiment, and I'm like, okay, let's try to see where it goes if I do this, or if I add a banjo, or if I do this, and it's very, very make it up as I go. I've always been like that. Especially, I've made a lot of films with kids, because they have the craziest ideas and I love it, but it's always completely improvised, and we just be like, okay, what happens next? Okay, let's film it. And then those are the films that are most fun to make and that are most enjoyable to watch, because they're so random and they're so fun. And yeah, I'm not the best planning before.
Yeah, definitely. Those are like definitely the best kinds of films to make. Because it's so much more about like actually doing the film rather than like the end result. It's very, very cool. What is the one project or idea or dream job or story that you feel like you're meant to tell or you'll regret not doing? It's a big question.
Ooh, that's a really good question. Oh, a story that I feel like I'm meant to tell. Wow.
It's a very coming of age kind of like character moment question. That's why it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've told you about Majestic Man.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about this story because I can't think of anything else at the moment. But it's basically, I'm watching Spider-Man and I'm like, well, if the identity of Spider-Man, a 5-year-old Cambodian girl, then no one would suspect it was Spider-Man. And so that's what I did, is I started writing a story about a 5-year-old Cambodian girl who has to dress up. Well, she doesn't have to, but her uncle invents this suit, this big suit that the girl goes into and makes her look like a giant, handsome American man, because that is the only way that the world will take her seriously, if she looks like a handsome American man. And so I'm commenting on that. But then she ends up becoming the world's greatest superhero, and she has to hide her identity, and then she ends up saving the royal family. And because she does that, or because Majestic Man does that, the queen ends up falling in love with Majestic Man and forces Majestic Man to marry her. And so there's that's just the silly part of the story. I don't think I would not regret not telling that. But,
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever make that like
just really fun.
a TV series or like a film or
I
like
would
a comic
love
book?
it. Yeah, I'd love to be able to do that one day, as like probably an animated film or something.
Oh my God. Can I work on that, please? That would be very fun.
Yes.
That would be awesome. What is the lesson that's taken you the longest to learn?
Wow, I'm still learning the lesson, but it's so yes, like I was talking about before, my stress expresses itself through physical pain, so I am never consciously aware when I'm stressed. And so the lesson that I am learning and have been learning, and is all over my album, is learning to listen to my body, because sometimes I just feel like it knows a lot more than I do, and it's aware of a lot more things, and it's in tune with so much. And so I need to. There's been so many times where I'm like, I'll be in pain because I'm stressed, and it's like my body is trying to tell me, Celia, can you please not go and do this thing? I need you to stay home and I need you to rest, please. And I'll be like, I'm not stressed, let's go do everything, woohoo! And it's has taken a huge toll on my health, but I'm getting better at it because I'm more aware of it now. But yeah.
What do you do when you're stressed, or what does your body want to do?
I think the most effective way of dealing with my stress is by making art, because that actually makes a very noticeable difference. And sometimes something that makes me very happy and the when I'm stressed, sometimes I'll watch a Barbie movie because it's nostalgic, and so
Okay, which one's your favorite? I gotta know.
My whole system very happy. And I really like I think Rapunzel, I think, is one of the best ones, but my favorites are the musical ones, and I really like Princess and the Pop Star.
Yes!
Or
Oh
Princess
my
and the
gosh!
Pauper.
Yeah. Well, Pop Star, that might be a different
so
one. Yeah, that was my favorite. I remember seeing like on YouTube a while back, somebody animated the I'm Just Like You song, and it like brought me back to like my childhood. It was amazing. Yeah, it was wonderful. Barbie movies are great. Barbie movies and Tinkerbell movies. Pinnacle of cinema. Okay.
Yes.
What do you not get, or what do you not get, or what are you trying to understand about the entertainment industry? Like in general, like music or animation or anything.
What do I not get or not understand about the entertainment industry? There are a lot of things that I question, but I can't think of anything that I don't understand.
All right, cool. What is something that you really want to try in the future? Like directing a movie, making a game, etc. Okay, I can tell you already know.
I want to do everything.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to be a ballerina. I want to make a funk album because my last album was very so now I want to be like funky. What do I what do I want to try? What do I want to try? Yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment.
Sorry, what did you say? I sorry, I'm zoned out the last part.
It's okay. I just said that's all I could think of at the moment.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. What is your favorite, or what do you think is the best thing that you've created so far? So far, out of everything you've done.
My favorite. It's like picking your children.
I know. Okay, what do you feel? What I can't ask what means a lot to you. What do you think objectively? I know it's hard to think like objectively about the art and stuff, but objectively, what do you think is the best thing that you've created so far?
I think the best thing I've created is probably my album.
What never fails to ignite passion in your work?
You ask really good questions. There's a lot of brain working going on. what never fails to ignite passion, 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 passion. I think watching other people do things. So like something I really, 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 really love, like it puts me is just watching someone just like be in the zone with their instrument or just playing live, and I just watch them and I'm like, yeah, this is the best thing ever. Or like, and I really, really like watching like homemade movies made by other little kids or something, because it's I will always love them above any kind of other film ever, because that's just like my favorite. And it makes me excited. But also, like when I was talking about being inspired thing, I see someone else doing something, I'm like, I need to try it, I need to try it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's the thing. Yeah.
That is really cool. That's a wonderful answer. When are you happiest when you're making something? What part of the process is that?
Get the idea. It's like fresh and new and exciting. And finally finish making it and you can go and show everybody, you know. I think those are the two most exciting parts.
What do you think are your strengths and weaknesses right now in your work?
Oh, yes, yes. I was talking about this before. I'm not very good at planning beforehand because I like making it up as I go. So my strength is that I'm good at making it up as I go, and my weakness is that I'm not very good at planning beforehand. Um,
Is there a project or something that you're putting off because of fear?
um, um, is there a project I'm putting off because of fear? I don't think so, because everything I do is very spontaneous and very, very like I get the idea and then I have to make it instantly, otherwise I'll die, kind of thing. And it's not always the
Uh,
case, but
what's
yeah, not
the thing
really.
that's taking you the longest to create? Is there a Is there a piece or a song or something that actually was planned, or that you didn't do it all in one go?
Um, yeah. There's a song called Potato that I wrote when my voice was gone, and I've written so many different versions of that song, and I've tried to produce it about 50 times, and I just can't get it yet. And I really wanted it to be on this album because uh, it's a similar theme and it's talking about it's talking it's just, yeah. Yeah, and I hope that I get it one day, because I think I really like it, and I think it's good. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I can't wait for that to come out whenever it does, or if it
Thank
does.
you.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, you said something about like being a lonely musician. I could definitely relate because I usually just I never really collaborate with anyone. It's easier to just do it on your own. Do you usually
Mm,
collaborate with people, or yeah, I guess I answered my own question. But yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
yeah, so um with film, I like collaborating with lots of people, and I've
Mhm.
made lots of films with many different people. But with music, I feel like I don't like the people that I know that I could live either very far away, or I just don't know anybody. But also in high school, I was part of the music I was doing VCE music, but um yeah, so I was surrounded by a lot of musical people, but they weren't very nice, and they made me feel very stale about music. And though I learned a lot from that class, and I wish I stayed in it, it was just like the people just put me off it. And what was really sad, but it was also kind of a good thing, because as soon as I left, I was able to explore music myself and discover discover other things. But yeah, now I do everything myself. And so yeah, and like there's no recordings of anybody else doing anything in my album, which is why I call it a very lonely album. But yeah.
That's really, really interesting. Is there an artist that you'd love to collaborate with in the future on anything?
I have a lot of plans to collaborate with a lot of people. Because I really like finding smaller artists that no one knows,
Mhm.
and then being their friend and just making friends with them, and then
Strategy,
and then we
attack.
have all these plans. We have all these plans to make music together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's one of the reasons why I started this series, the Work in Progress series, because it's like there's so many talented people out there, and then people love. I mean, I was talking about this on another interview, but people like that deserve to be interviewed at least like once in their life too, because everybody has something important to say.
I know, everybody is amazing, and I just
I know, right? By the way, I really, really like your shirt. That looks really cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank
All right.
you.
Let's say I know you don't like thinking about the future, but let's say we're looking into the future right now. Like you're like 50 years old. Everything
Oh,
you've
I'm
ever
50.
wanted, you became a ballerina, you became a filmmaker, you got your funk album, everything you ever wanted like worked out. What do you think that what advice would your older self give to the you right now?
Wow. I want to ask you that question because I have no idea, and
Oh
I'm now
wow.
really, really curious.
um and I'm not used to answering my own questions. I never okay. um I don't know. She'd probably just tell me to just make more stuff and not be afraid and stop holding myself back from doing things if I think I'm bad at them, which I'm really not as
Mm,
bad as I think I am.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's such a big thing because I think,
Mhm.
like, if I were to make something, and I'm like, oh, it's probably boring and people don't care, and I tell myself that as like a protection thing, so
Mhm.
that if people do say that, you're like, yeah, I know, but then people give you like a really good response, and you're like, oh, that's cool, yeah, and so yeah, I'm really glad that you said that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's definitely weird because I was not a fearful person growing up. It's just through like some acting things and stuff like that that it's a learned thing,
Mm,
definitely. I think everybody goes through that.
mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to unlearn
Yes,
that stuff, but definitely
yes,
talking to a bunch of different kinds of artists. Like I've interviewed like showrunners and directors and musicians
yeah.
and voice actors. Everybody deals with fear and it's like ultimately fine. Or like the world's not going to explode just because you made some bad art.
Yeah. Yes. And what was I gonna say? Ah um yeah, so it's like growing up because being a kid is so much fun. But also when you're a kid, like you don't have that filter of this good and I have to improve myself.
Mm.
And so when you grow up you like you learn that and yeah.
What a
Yeah.
stupid thing to learn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Cause yeah, just like in your album, it's like now. It's the time is now. Cause who knows? Even tomorrow we might not be there. So whatever. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it around. So what advice would you give to your older 50 future old self who got everything she could ever imagine or dream of?
um, I would tell myself that I shouldn't be afraid of acting like a weirdo and still being fun and and being and acting like a kid, and to not be ashamed of that.
Do you find that like I was talking about this in another interview, but is it ever like do you ever like act as weird as you think you are being to people? Or is it ever as bad as you think? You know, every time you think like, am I being weird right now? Am I making a weird face? Am I like, I don't know, using my hands to talk too much? Um, if you had to give that a number, like 9 times out of 10 people actually think you're weird, or what would that be? How focused? Because I find that people are rarely focused on like what you're doing. It's usually like they're focused on how they come across to others. So they're not even paying attention in the first place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you asking how other people perceive me or how I perceive my weakness?
Yeah, it's a complicated question, but whatever yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, there have been a lot of times where I freak out other people because I'm smiling too big or I'm being too excited. um,
What helped you get out of your comfort zone? Because you were saying that you're a person who usually you like to jump out of your comfort zone because it's more fun, you learn more.
yeah. Definitely being with other people, because if you have someone with you doing anything, it's so much easier to do. And I've written a song about this when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Stickers on My Nose, and it's like, I don't care what I do as long as I'm with you.
Aw, that's so
Yeah.
cute. Yeah. Are you more like introverted or extroverted?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I was very shy. And then it's like something happened in year 9 where it just like clicked and I became very extroverted. But it's like I call myself ambivert and in between because I can be an extrovert, but I also get very exhausted being around lots of people all the time. And I really, really need lots of alone time by myself to recharge and process life. Um, yeah.
That's really interesting. What would you say to someone who struggles with fear in their work?
You, I would say, you being you is it's really cool. It's awesome. And I don't want you to try to sound or look or be like anyone else because you think people will like that, because you're really cool just the way you are.
That is wonderful. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the interview, by the way. um, what is the most fearless thing that you've ever done? And it doesn't have to be art related. I've had people, some dude went skydiving, another person was in a kazoo band. Yeah, it could be anything.
Oh, sick! I want to be in a kazoo band. um, the most fearless thing I've ever done. So is it like you were when you say fearless, do you mean you were doing a crazy thing with no fear, or you did have fear but you were like being brave or stepping out of your comfort zone? Like,
Yeah, either
what
one,
do you mean by
honestly.
that?
Either one, honestly.
Okay. I am I'm excited for 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 uh, um, smaller artists to start emerging, and for Disney to make films, not because they're gonna make lots of money, but because they're stories that need to be told. I hope that happened away.
Yeah, same. That's a wonderful answer. Oh, is it cutting out? Okay, no, it is fine. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be like so fun. Keep saying that, but that is one of the reasons why I started this series, because I want to see like the next generation of like, oh my God, can you imagine like what hopefully the future is gonna be? All right. What is something that you thought was scary, but you were able to overcome or get through?
Oh, so many things. The thing I love about this, and the reason why I'm so good at stepping out of my comfort zone is because if I know that if someone's inviting me to do something and I'm just like, that sounds terrifying, and usually what happens is that it ends up being like the greatest experience of my life going to do that
Uh-huh.
thing. Um, um, okay, so in year 9 they had this leadership camp or leadership school where you go away from home for an entire term, and you live there, and instead of learning maths and English and all of that, you learn self-development and cultural diversity, and you go hiking, and you do things in the community, and you live with a bunch of people from other schools all around. So, and
Oh
it's
wow.
different people in different countries, and like anyway, I knew that I really wanted to do that, but I like as soon as me and the family hopped in the car to take me to this place, I was, maybe I shouldn't go. This is a bad idea. No, I can't do it, because I never lived away from home for that long, and
Mhm.
yeah, and what was I gonna say? Yeah, so the first week was very like at the camp, but then I
Mhm.
slowly ended up like falling in love with everybody and everything that we did, and suddenly I became this ecstatically happy person because it was like the best time in my life. And I think that leadership school camp thing that I went
Mhm.
to is the reason why I'm so very confident and extroverted now. I don't know why, but it's like this shift happened to me when I was in that
Yeah,
place.
no, I went through the
And
same thing. Yeah, I went to a summer
yeah,
camp a couple of years ago, and like after that, my entire mindset, I think it's once you put yourself in a situation, like I never liked school and everything, and going back wasn't like the most exciting thing, but putting
mm,
yourself back in that situation and then finding out like, wait, I can actually have fun here, that like changed everything, definitely.
yeah, and yeah, it made me see a lot of things very differently, because especially I came back and I'd just been in this like leadership school where everything was just really clever and you learn lots of deep and meaningful stuff and really useful life stuff. So when
Wow.
I back to school, it's like I'm like, why are we learning these things?
Mhm.
And it wasn't just that, it made me like see the education system from a different perspective. And so then I became a bit I started writing letters to my principal and trying to change things and like understand things. Oh no, my phone's gonna die. But that's okay because we're fish. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's really, really wonderful. Since your phone's about to die, I guess we're just gonna wrap up the interview. Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This is like awesome. I keep saying that.
Thank you
It
so
was so
much
much
for
fun.
having me.
Yeah,
I love talking to you.
I love talking to you too. Do you have contact information, places people can find you or your work? I'm linking your YouTube channel in the description. Thank you, future Nicole.
Yes, thank you, future Nicole. Yeah, just my YouTube, Celia, and my album, Listen, Love, and Sneeze.
Any last thoughts?
Mm-mm.
Awesome. All right, yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Celia. Now we're gonna wave bye to the camera. Bye, audience.
Bye.